What's good, everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, we are back on the couch, but it is not a weekly movie review. I have something much more exciting to go into. First off, let me start off this video by saying there will not be any spoilers in this video. I hate people who spoil things. I super apologize if I ever have to anybody in any of my weekly movie reviews or anything, but I hate when people spoil things, especially for something as exciting as this video. So, I have just returned from watching The Dark Knight Rises. For those of you who have been living under a rock, which I know there are a few people, actually one of my friends today did not know what The Dark Knight Rises was. Terrified me. And I told her that we couldn't be friends anymore, but wow. So anyway, The Dark Knight Rises is the third installment in the Dark Knight revamped Batman trilogy directed by Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is an absolutely, truly incredible director, having directed not only the other two Batman movies, but also Inception, The Following, Memento, The Prestige, even Insomnia was a good flick too. So, the build-up to this movie has been nothing short of historic, really. The amount of fanfare that went into the Avengers build-up and the Avengers movie was truly epic as well, but this just took it to another level. Because while I absolutely love the Avengers movie, as it's well stated, I absolutely loved Thor, loved Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, but still, I love pretty much all of the Marvel heroes. But the Marvel movies are superhero movies. Very, very well done superhero movies. But superhero movies nonetheless. Whereas all three of these movies, specifically the second one and now this one, were just great movies that just so happen to be about superheroes, if that makes sense. Whereas with the Avengers movies and even with other DC movies, Superman, Green Hornet, no, not Green Hornet, I'm sorry, Green Lantern, though both of them were horrible, those were superhero movies. So, before we even get into it, I just have to say, wow. I want to take this second to say thank you to Christopher Nolan, to Christian Bale, to Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Cillian Murphy from the first one, Liam Neeson from the first one, Marion Cotillard, Anne Hathaway, Joseph Gorden-Levitt. I just want to say thank you. Gary Oldman, thank you. Tom Hardy, and finally Heath Ledger. You guys have all helped make one of the best trilogies in history. I would put it, for me personally, right up there with the Bourne trilogy, which I think probably is the best movie-for-movie trilogy. Matrix could have been, but it fell off after the first one. If you're a Star Wars fan, I apologize. I like the first three. I mean, the original three. But I liked them. I didn't love them. I can truly say that I absolutely, without a doubt, loved all three of these Dark Knight movies. I actually went and rewatched, in anticipation for Dark Knight Rises. I went back this past week and watched Batman Begins, which I hadn't seen it outside of a couple of times on FX. I hadn't seen it in its entirety for a long time, honestly. Probably 3-4 years. And again, was greeted with how awesome of a 4, maybe 4.5 star movie that was. Then I watched Dark Knight, which I hadn't seen since I saw it in the theaters opening night. Then I watched it the day it came out on DVD. I bought it and watched it. But I hadn't watched it since then. So, even there were scenes that I forgot about that, like when they have to go to Hong Kong. I forgot about that whole thing. And that was, without a doubt, a 5-star movie. Rewatching it, just the level of the plan, and I don't want to just focus on how good Heath Ledger was as the Joker, but everything about that movie was so well done. So then it comes to Dark Knight Rises, and the first thing everybody's going to ask is, was it better than The Dark Knight? And let me answer that by saying, I don't think that's a fair question, because I don't think it could be, to be quite honest. So therein is my answer, that no, it was not as good as The Dark Knight. But because of how The Dark Knight was, and because of the added character of Harvey Dent's transition, as well as the Joker, and how magnificently Heath Ledger played the Joker, I really don't think it's possible or fair to compare the two movies. I just don't. I don't think that that's something that you can do. Obviously, it will happen, but while there were a few mistakes, and I don't even want to say mistakes, there were a few speed bumps in The Dark Knight Rises, because of the difference in the movie and the fact that this was the closing piece, I just don't feel that it was fair to compare them. So before I go any further, I want to actually do a quick breakdown of the movie. The story takes place 8 years after The Dark Knight. And as you know, in the end of The Dark Knight, Batman takes the fall, essentially, for Harvey Dent. Because, as he says, Gotham needs their white knight. They need that figure they can stand behind. And if it comes out that Harvey Dent lost his marbles and was killing people, that would kind of ruin everything. And it would send thousands of criminals back out on the street, pretty much all of organized crime. So we find Bruce Wayne, a recluse, who, Batman having taken the fall for Harvey Dent, has essentially put up his cape and mask, and now grew a very scruffy goatee and walks around with a cane. Since he's out of the world of crime fighting, his bones and cartilage have gotten a little shaky, if you will. So through the I don't want to. I like I said, I'm not going to give anything away, but the movie starts with our introduction to Bane. And this is all something that we see in the previews. The mid-air, when you see another plane hanging from a plane that's holding it up. Yeah. Wow. Like, the visual of that was the most amazed I've been since the last Christopher Nolan movie that I was amazed by, Inception. And oh my God, that scene in itself was incredible. And I know, I'll get into that in a second. So after we find Bane, we then find out that he is simply a mercenary. He's just a mercenary who is being brought to Gotham to cause havoc. It then delves a little deeper, and there are some ties to some other characters. I don't want to go into it, as well as this has been put in different reviews, so I don't feel this is a spoiler. But he essentially is wanting to follow through with Ra's al Ghul's purpose of the first movie, that of Gotham cannot be reclaimed until it is annihilated. Gotham cannot be run until it is given back to the dregs of the city, if you will. So during a community, or during a fundraiser at the Wayne Manor, really it's on Harvey Dent Day, we get our first glimpse of Anne Hathaway playing Selina Kyle, who's also Catwoman. They have some awesome back and forth between Bruce Wayne and Selina, as well as some back and forth between Batman and Catwoman. That is just awesome. Some of the dialogue is so snappy and so well done. And honestly, I was incredibly impressed with Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I thought that could end up being a weak link, but I was very impressed by her. I think, she might get overlooked a little bit because there are so many good performances in this, but I thought she did a great job. So we then, the story starts developing more and more, and Bane becomes a problem. obviously played by Tom Hardy. How have I not said that? Played by a huge Tom Hardy. I actually got in a conversation with my cousin because he's like, well, Tom Hardy isn't big enough to play Bane. Bane's supposed to be 4 times bigger than, Batman in the comics. Yes, but that's a comic. And unless they're going to do some Sin City type, part CGI, part real, there's no way to make him look that big. Though he looked big. Tom Hardy, I want to see what steroids he was on, because dude is yoked. I'm not saying he was for sure on steroids. Whatever. Don't tear me apart for it. He might have done it naturally. I doubt it, but he might have. But there's a scene where he's shirtless down in the sewers, and he looks, like just stupid big, like Russian strongman big. And it's incredible. I loved his performance as Bane. Yes, it's a little difficult to understand what he's saying sometimes, just because. He's talking through a mouthpiece the whole time. I am Gotham's reckoning. But the way, oh my God, his demeanor, his delivery, his dialogue, wow, that was a lot of D words, were so well done. And again, I apologize because I don't want to compare him with the Joker, but it's going to happen. But where the Joker was, in a way, a free spirit, and like he describes himself, he's like a dog chasing after cars. He wouldn't know what to do with it if he finally caught one. Bane is the level of just exacting carnage. He just wants destruction for the sake of destruction, whereas the Joker wanted just chaos. And he, even said that, he's an architect of chaos, whereas Bane is just dominant. He is dominance personified. He is destruction personified. He is where he's organized chaos. That's the way to say it. Where the Joker was just widespread panic and just free-for-all craziness, Bane is organized panic, organized destruction, organized chaos, and which I know is an oxymoron in itself, because chaos is supposed to be unorganized. But his performance as Bane was awesome, and I absolutely loved it. Also want to give props. Gary Oldman has been awesome in all 3 movies as now police commissioner. Gordon, great job, as always. He's been so, good in all 3. You almost forget about him because he's been so good. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great through the whole thing. He also has an awesome twist about it towards the end. But he plays a cop who actually had very similar upbringings to Bruce Wayne, being that he was an orphan and was living in one of the shelters or growing up in one of the shelters that Bruce Wayne's company paid for. Also, Michael Caine is great in it. Really great. He's been, again, so dependable. So is Morgan Freeman. Marion Cotillard, I believe that's how you say her name, I apologize, was also very good in it. She actually plays a wealthy businesswoman who, through some machinations, is brought in to work with the Wayne Corporation on a clean energy device, if you will, and has been an investor within the Wayne Corporation. And she did a very good job. One thing that I love is Christopher Nolan uses a set group of actors. And yeah, he adds and takes away from them. But Inception had Tom Hardy and Marion Cotillard and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. All 3 of them are in this. Prestige had Christian Bale. Christian Bale's also in this. There's actors that he brings in, with some exception, obviously. Insomnia didn't really have anybody carried over. Neither did really. So it's Batman and Beyond, essentially, where he keeps a lot of actors and reuses them, which I like. And you can see that because they have such comfort with each other, with the direction, with the script, you can just see their chemistry working so well together. But the guy that I got to give probably the most props to is Christian Bale. And this was so much more a Bruce Wayne movie than a Batman movie, because you're actually getting to see the full culmination of himself, not just of not just of Batman, but of Bruce Wayne. And he did such a good job. I was reading a review on, and I always read them afterwards. I always, to a movie that I'm so excited about, I go in 100% unbiased, and then afterwards I try to seek out all reviews and see other people's perspectives. And that's what I read somewhere, that there were only 3 scenes, like 3 different times, that you even see him as Batman. That all the rest of it is actually him as Bruce Wayne. And that's, it's crazy to think it's a Batman movie, but it so much really was a Bruce Wayne movie, and he did such a good job bringing the character full circle and showing the level of torment going on within him. And that's always been what attracted me to the character of Batman, was that he did have demons. Much like why I find Iron Man to be one of the best characters, because he has demons. Anybody can be Peter Parker. I'm sorry, but it's true. Anybody can be Captain America. I mean, that's not exciting to me. I want to see that. I think it's also a part of the reason why I always cheer for the underdog, or the bad guy. Like in basketball, my favorite players always turn out to be the guys like J.R. Smith that have had more issues than you can think of. Chad Johnson used to be my favorite player. Chris Henry, before he died, was one of my favorite football players, because there's that level of, you want to see him make it, So they make themselves into a villain, but you still want to see him make it. So I think that's part of the reason why I always did like Batman. And this movie, I think, the best shows his utter conflict, really, between himself, with what he wants for the city of Gotham, with what he wants for himself, and with what he wants for the people around him. This is no better shown than his relationship between him and Morgan Freeman, and him and Michael Caine, who stand by him, who will always be there for him, with unwavering backing, though they know that at the end of the day he's hurting himself. And I love that. I love that element to it. I love it. So there, without giving much away, there's some great scenes with some people from past movies. There's an amazing prison scene and build-up. There are 3 great twists. People who have read the comic book will know more than I did about it. I was never that big into the Batman comic. I did read some Marvel comics, specifically Iron Man, the Avengers, as well as X-Men. So I didn't know a lot of the things coming up. I did a lot of research about the movie, so I could know all about Bane and, Catwoman and their relationships and all that, even though it doesn't follow, to a T. The only complaints that I have about it, for one, they should have had more scenes with the Lamborghini Aventador in it. There were only a couple. Made me sad, very sad. As a huge Lamborghini fan, would have loved to have seen more of the car in action. Complaint 1. Complaint 2, Marion Cotillard is Bruce Wayne's love interest, but somewhat forced at first on Bruce Wayne, and then somewhat forced on the viewer, which I didn't feel that it flowed as well. And one thing that I've read in a few reviews, and I do agree with it, is that the story was a little bit clunkier. There was a little, and granted, it was a 2-hour and 45-minute long movie. That's going to happen, I mean, just based on a movie that's that long, it's going to get clunky at times. But I don't fault it for that. Because at the same time, there's nothing in the movie that I would have ever said I want to take it out, that I don't want this part in there, because I feel it was so needed. And the fact that it got to go full circle was so beautiful in a way. And I really feel that it was the perfect way to end the story. Like I said, it wasn't as good of a movie as The Dark Knight. But it was still... But I don't think they could have done a better ending. I'll say that. It was not as good as The Dark Knight, but it was as good as it could be. There you go. That's the perfect way to put it. This movie was as good as it could be, which still was a great movie. So at the end of the day, I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I'm actually going to go and see it again within the next couple days and see it on IMAX. Me being a typical procrastinator, I didn't get to see it on IMAX because I didn't go to buy my tickets until the night before, and everything was sold out. Even the 3:30 showing. So I only got to see it on regular screen, so I'm going to go back and watch it on IMAX later on this week. But it was so well done. And I'm so sad that it's over, because as good as every one of these movies has been, I would like them to go and make a different Batman movie every 2 years. Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale, until there's no Batman enemies left, until there's no more villains, until they've got to bring in like the Silver Surfer or something for him to battle. I know, Marvel, DC, whatever. Run through everybody. Just keep making movies. I mean, they were that well done, you know? And so there's a very large part of me that was very sad when the ending credits came up, because that was the end. But at the same time, they were 3 of the best superhero movies ever done. 3 incredible movies, period. One of the best trilogies ever done. And truly incredible, to be quite honest. So I know I've sat here for probably 20 minutes now gushing over how incredible it was, but I really can't help it. You know, it was that well done. So I will say, please don't compare it with The Dark Knight. I know it's impossible not to, but please don't. Please don't compare Bane with the Joker. It's not fair. They're completely different characters, and I feel that they both added so much to the movie. I don't think anybody could have played the Joker better than Heath Ledger did. I don't think anybody could have played Bane better than Tom Hardy did. I know people say, oh, all he was just a bald guy who growled his lines. No, that's not true. He did convey that level of unstoppable force. Like, oh, he was so good. He was so good at it. I loved it. I loved it. And a couple of the twists, oh my God. Only thing that I will say, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, is I wish they would have gone a little bit more in depth with the end of Bane's story. I'll say. I'm not going to say if he dies or not. I'm not going to say if he gets kidnapped or, arrested or not. I'm not going to say what happens with that. But I wish they would have gone a little bit more into a story. I almost feel like it was a little bit hastily done. Simply because they were approaching probably 2 hours and 40 minutes at this point. Other thing I would have loved to have seen, and sucks that Heath Ledger died, I would have liked to have seen how they tied him in. Based on how some other elements of previous movies were tied in, which really shows how well thought out this trilogy was and how great Christopher Nolan was at doing that. But I'm curious to see how they would have tied in the Joker to this movie. Even though Bane was always going to be the main villain, I still would have been curious to see how they would have brought others in. And I actually would have been alright if they had another villain, partly because, and as you've seen from the previews, through some of it, I won't say that they're allies, but Catwoman is somewhat of a flip-flopper, which I'm not giving anything away. You see that in the previews. So there you go. My review of The Dark Knight Rises, the final installment of the Dark Knight trilogy, directed by Christopher Nolan. And to emulate the Joker from The Dark Knight, very well done, everyone involved. Very, very well done. And while I'm very sad that this is it for the Batman series, I did hear some rumblings that maybe Christopher Nolan will be the writer for the Justice League. I still don't think the Justice League could ever be as good as the Avengers, simply because it's going to have Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, which I like Ryan Reynolds, but I thought that movie and his adaptation of it was horrible, and the new Zack Snyder Superman, which I've never been a big fan of Superman, so, yeah. But hopefully he still has something to do with it. Anything Christopher Nolan has something to do with, I'll check out. So, again, it's over. I'm sad, but an incredible movie. Please go see it. Please also, I beg you, don't put spoilers in the comments. In fact, I might even turn off the comments on this one, just so no dickhead goes and trolls. Because I hate that, especially with a movie like this, especially with a couple of the twists. If you haven't watched the comic, read the comic, a couple of the twists at the end, whew! I literally went, holy shit, at one point, much to the chagrin of the father sitting next to me with his probably 10-year-old kid. I'm sorry. But, so don't comment. Don't spoiler alert, please. But there you go. That is my review of The Dark Knight Rises. Great, great, great movie. Let me know what you guys think. Did you see it? What did you think? Let me know. Yeah, I'll leave comments up. Just don't be dickheads, people. Please. I'll delete any comments of you guys being dickheads. But let me know what you guys think. What was your overall reaction of the film? Did you think how do you think, in terms of what I was saying, it compared with The Dark Knight? Even though I said not to do that, did you think that my discussion of that was correct? I'm curious. Or was I totally off base and in left field? I'd like to know. So, let me know. I'm definitely curious. I don't want this video to end, because that means that officially The Dark Knight Rises is over. As corny as that sounds. But let me know what you guys thought of Bane. Did you think Tom Hardy did a great job with it? Let me know what you guys thought of that first scene when they're in the plane. Oh my God, that was so sick. So sick. Also, let me know what you thought about Anne Hathaway's performance. I thought she was great in it. And let me know if you guys cried. I admit it, I did. In fact, I think I cried I cried for sure twice, almost a third time, within the span of the last 15 minutes of the movie. So I admit it. The movie was that good. I admit it. Call me a sissy. I don't care. So hope you guys liked it as much as I did. And on a more somber note, I do want to say that my heart goes out to the victims in Aurora, Colorado. I'm sure everybody knows by now. It's been all over the news. It's, 8 o'clock in the morning right now. I actually been watching it. Well, no. Wow, I can't read. It's 7 o'clock in the morning right now. But apparently there was a masked gunman went into a theater showing, the midnight showing, armed with an 870 pump shotgun. I guess that was left in his car. An AR style rifles. Originally said it was an AK style rifle, but it's been confirmed as a Smith & Wesson M&P 15, as well as 2 Glock 40s, and opened fire on everybody inside. Originally it was reported that he killed 15 people and injured 50. Now the number is 12 dead and 70 injured. He also apparently booby-trapped his house with explosive devices, and I don't know all the details about it. I don't know what his issue was, but he apparently just wanted to kill a bunch of people. So my heart goes out to everybody. The eyewitness accounts have been horrible, and that's awful to hear. You never want to hear anything like that, especially for something that should be a happy day. I guess he also threw some tear gas and some explosions were going off. Just a psycho. And I'll say it again. I know it couldn't have saved everybody, but not to get into a Second Amendment debate, but I really feel that somebody armed concealed carry very well could have stopped before 14 people were murdered, or 12 people were murdered. I know it was pitch black theater. I'm not saying that me with my gun would have been able to save, anybody other than maybe 1 or 2 people. But even that 1 or 2 people, is still better. So at the end of the day, it's horrible. It's a horrible tragedy. And it's going to turn into a huge gun control issue, which I think is funny. I don't get how people don't see that gun control only applies to legal, law-abiding citizens. Criminals don't care about gun laws, obviously. I'm sure that theater had a no weapons sign, just like pretty much all theaters do. That guy didn't care. But the people who ended up getting murdered were people who maybe had to leave their guns in their car. So, there you go. I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. So, I'm sorry this video went so long, but it really was an incredible movie, and I can't help but talk about it. So, once again, my review of The Dark Knight Rises, 4.5 stars. Incredible movie. I'm going again tomorrow. See it. And let me know what you guys think. As always, thank you for checking out my videos. You can check out the rest of them on MatthewMaley.com. Always in the 2012 video blog tab is all my current stuff, as well as the previous video blog is all my old videos, everything prior to this year. You can also check me out on YouTube, search for Matthew Maley Poker. You can like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. Also, you can check me out on Facebook, search for Matthew Maley Poker as well. I've got all my videos posted on there as they pop up, as well as Twitter. I am at Matthew Maley, always tweeting, so follow me there. And until the next video, peace out, everybody, and hope everybody goes out and sees this movie. On to the next one.